All right, we're jumping on in here to our last Magic deck of the day. This is a build-around submission for Tinybones, the Trinket Thief here. So Trinket Thief says, at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent discarded a card this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And then Tinybones also has this extra line of text that says, pay 6, each opponent with no cards in hand loses 10 life. So this is kind of an interesting design because when your opponent doesn't have cards to discard, you can pay mana and just kill them. So either you're going to get to be activating Tinybones' top line of text, or if you have 6 lands, you're going to get to kill them with his activations. Now, I was looking through the different cards available in Historic, and I was like, there's got to be something that can let me trigger Tinybones when my opponent's hand is empty. And Zurzoth Chaos Rider is exactly that. So this is another Jumpstart card that says, when an opponent draws their first card each turn, if it's not their turn, you create a 1/1 devil token that deals damage to something when it dies. And then the bottom line of text here, whenever 1 or more devils you control attacks, each of those players draw a card and then discard a card at random. So basically, if our opponent has no cards in hand, Zurzoth here will make them draw a discard, which will trigger Tinybones. Now, in order to enable this, we are playing some, let's call them lower quality devils, lower in our curve. We've got Footlight Fiend and Tibalt's Rager here as cards that aren't quite constructed power level, but they synergize with this, which is nice. The rest of the deck is just like good red and black cards. We've got Thoughtseize, best discard spell in the format. We've got some Kroxas to make them discard. We've got good adventure cards for removal / card advantage. And then we've got Liliana, Waker of the Dead, as well as Rankle, Master of Pranks, the top end of our curve to make discarding things as well. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games here at this and see how it goes. Now, Ferocidon's much better than Tibalt. Ferocidon's much better against Field of the Dead. It's not close. No, it's 1 action, Neenan. So if they don't have any cards in hand, they don't get a chance to cast instants. No, generally speaking, Yertle the Turtle, playing a bunch of individually weak bad cards is not a good way to make your deck constructed playable. Think I want to just take the Ram spell here. Could be wrong. Could be right to just take Hour, I promise, hoping that I can find some other things to chew at their hand before they can Hour. If they draw an Explorer or a Growth Spiral or another Uro here, I'm pretty sad that I took their Uro. Yeah, I should have taken their Hour, I promise. I'm gonna go ahead and have us draw here too, because it basically burns them out. What are spells? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, hey, hey. If we can get their hand empty, Tinybones can be lethal. We're just never gonna get their hand empty with Sphinx's Revelation is the issue. Ah, if I would have drawn with Rankle, we'd have hit Thoughtseize. Yeah, I could have scryed pre-combat though if I was gonna draw. Easy in, easy out. I mean, again, it's really easy to be like, well, there's nothing we could do there. Or I could, like, look at the fact that I could have scryed and drawn a card with Rankle and peeled a Thoughtseize and then killed them very easily had I played correctly. So, the low IQ easy line is going on Reddit or Twitter and complaining about my opponent's deck here and what just happened. Or I could think critically about the sequences that occurred and look at my player agency and the choices that I made and realize that I messed up and didn't play to outs that I could have played to not allow my opponents to take over and win that game. But that sounds like a lot of work, so I think I'm going to go post on Twitter. Misha! Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. I appreciate it. And again, bottom the Liliana. Keep the Rankle. I'm playing the Dragonskull on 1, so if I draw a Swamp on 2, I can double Thoughtseize. Captain Zap Brannigan, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Who's a good little dino? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So definitely need to stop power. I promise this turn. At any cost, chat. At any cost. I think I'm just saying pass here, because they're currently at 4 cards in their bin. So if I make them discard a land, they get to escape Uro next turn, which while that doesn't gain them life, it does attack me and it does ramp them. I think I'm just saying nothing. Yeah, it matters because they're at 4 cards. You need 6 cards to escape Uro, chat. Do I want to draw this turn? I think I want to draw this turn and leave my 3/3 lethal, right? Crockett! Thanks for the 15 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Okay, seeing how that game played out, I think this card's probably not very good here, and I think I'd like Duresses in my deck. Just like a bunch of 1-mana discard spells and then pressure. It's very possible Liliana at the top of my curve is just not good, and I want Rankles and more cheap spells. Pretty sure we have to mulligan this. There's just no pressure in it. Guess I'm on the draw with the Temple. Have I talked myself into it? I've talked myself into it. Sounds about right. I was going to pay 5 to draw a card. We just can't beat Our Promise, though. In fact, speaking of Our Promise, we're going to replace Liliana with a playable Planeswalker. Pretty sure there should just be a bunch of Ashioks in every deck that can leverage it. Yeah, like I'm playing Kroxa anyways. What do we think of this? Just like Hedge Field game 1? I think I like this. See some folks using the podcast command. We're going to wrap up on some more Runeterra today at the end of the stream. And then I was also on a Runeterra themed focus podcast where I talked about a bunch of the spoilers for their upcoming 3rd set. It's releasing next week. Hey chat, what do we think of the Ferocidons I just put into my main deck? Anyone have any thoughts on those? Feel free to put your opinion in chat. Let me know. Speaking of post-Magic stuff, by the way, tomorrow, instead of doing Runeterra after Magic, we're going to play some Teamfight Tactics, which is the League of Legends Auto Battler. And that's a sponsored segment, so if you want a really easy way to support my content, make sure you show up tomorrow for that. Yeah, auto battler, auto chest, whatever you want to call it. So I can't block Linden here, unfortunately. Like, I could, but it wouldn't be advisable. We mulligan to a mediocre hand, and they ramped and killed us. Yeah, later in the stream tomorrow. It'll be about the time I normally do Runeterra. It's about 3:30 we'll do TFT tomorrow. Is this game over? Not necessarily. Oh, wait, it is, right? Because I have a land? That's sick. Nice life gain deck. We did it. We did it. We did it. Hooray. God bless Field of the Dead chat, making me rage add Ferocidon to my main deck. You love to see it. I'm pretty sure we're just boarding in all of our removal here. Zurzoth seems like it's probably a little bit slow. Probably have a hard time attacking with my devils too. I'm gonna cut my Tibalt Ragers and 2 of these, I think. So I'm gonna cut all of these and put some Ashioks back in to enable Kroxa. Let's do that. It's possible I want 4 Frost Zone on my 75 for like random life gain decks and Field of the Dead. This is fine. Not amazing, but fine. Been watching for a while, still play spells that are Sprite in any format I had. I've been loving the Runeterra too. Thanks, Kig. I appreciate that. I think I just take Luris here, right? Yeah, I agree. The problem is that, like, the Thoughtseize and, like, Shocklands I wanted to, my health total is, like, really under duress here. Oh, them actually taking the turn to do that's, like, really good for us. Super happy with that. Wonder if they drew another removal spell since they, like, proactively fired that off after I frosted on them last game. Requiem League, thank you for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Pretty sure they get to guaranteed activate this next turn, which means we're dead. Nope, not quite. Okay, 1 off. This is where the magic happens, chat. This is where the magic happens. We'll get him on the play game 3, huh? Onwards, upwards, backward, forward. Do we mull to Ferocidon? No, I don't think we need to do that at all. I think simply having lands with our spells would be good enough. We have plenty of meaningful interaction that can pick apart our opponent's board. I do think Ferocidon's great, but my opponent's deck's going to have a number of removal spells in post-board for it. So I think hard mulliganing for Ferocidon. Fonstiff, there are 3 Ferocidons in my deck. I would encourage you to stop looking at the numbers on the screen because Magic Arena is a poor piece of software that made them illegible. And instead, look at the deck list that I have taken the time to update on the overlay. It's also available on mobile if you type the little SD icon. You can see it on PC or mobile, so there's really no excuse not to use it. In general, in Historic currently, there aren't really games or matchups where you're supposed to be hard mulliganing for things in my experience. Like, there aren't Rest in Pieces and Stony Silence type matchups like coming from Modern in this format, where the only thing that matters is your sideboard card. In general, you're just looking for functional hands with lands and spells. Your sideboard cards are like nice to haves. They're not like, I have to have this or I lose. Would love to draw a 4th land next turn. Nailed it. The hand's really good. So, people boarding in Unbreakable Formation to beat sweepers, I think is actually a trap. I actually like that the opponents brought in Unbreakable Formation in this matchup. I think Unbreakable Formation is stellar. It is not updated, thank you, holy guacamole. It is, ideally, you should be using Unbreakable Formation to break board stalls, not to respond with to sweepers, because... what's the word I'm searching for? You can't hold up 3 mana in the sweeper matchups. If you're holding up 3 mana on turn 3, you're not advancing your board in a meaningful way to actually keep up and beat the sweeper decks. And we're dead. I think we're dead. Yes, definitely dead. Hello, wifey.
Son asked me for some salsa, and I told him, sorry, we don't have any. And he says, ugh, it's not my lucky day. And I'm like, your dad probably feels you.
He asked for salsa yesterday, and he knows we haven't gone to the store since then. Did you put it on your shopping list?
I did.
You did?
I added it to my cart already.
Look at you. Look at this curve, chat. Thoughtseize, Tibalt's Rager, Chaos Rider. It's always my lucky day with you, honey. This is pro green, right? I think we take the card that draws them cards.
Is tomorrow your long stream?
No, Friday.
Today's not Thursday?
No, today's not Thursday. It is Blur's Day, March 158th.
Did you just guess at that, or did you actually?
No, I looked at it this morning.
Okay.
Do I still do sideboard guides for money? I mean, I do anything for enough money.
It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Chat says you're wrong. It's the 171st.
Now, I'm pretty sure COVID date's at 159th. 159th. I was wrong. It's 159th. If you're ever wondering, coviddate.net keeps track of it for you.
You should make a command. What day is it? And then it would get the...
You'd play Win Countless Nexus for the right amount? Yeah, of course. That amount is higher than you're thinking it is, but there's a number.
Can anyone make commands or only you?
And this attack happens because it replaces itself, it draws discards, and we get another thing back, and we get to deal the damage to them. Oh, they're not killing it. Deal. They still 50. Sure. Let's say sure.
I don't like your battle board.
You don't get to pick in this game.
I don't like this one. All the other, like, the other ones are all really pretty. This one's not.
I think I want to play the land tier because I don't want to really discard a land on this board. They're gonna diddle my Chaos Rider, chat. That's fine. Attack, fam. Attack, devil fam. Arrgh. What historic deck would I recommend? You can always find lots of wonderful decks sorted by power level on my website. I actually answered, Sky. Yeah, that's fine. Things I would do still. Yes. So, Ashiok's a card we're going to board out in this matchup for sure because Ashiok's down tick and static ticks don't matter here, but it will at least enable Kroxa for us, which is nice. So it'll be a matchup where we board in a bunch of removal spells, almost assuredly. So, Bin's got plenty of cards in it. No conceding. Okay, so Ferocidon and Ashiok out here for sure. Abrade, Bonecrusher, Murderous Rider in. This is probably a Legion's End matchup. Probably a Legion's End matchup. I'm going to trim a couple of Kroxa and then like one Rankle. The flying on Rankle is nice, but 4 mana spells are kind of a liability against the deck full of counter spells. Sure. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. It's just curvamentary. What could it be? I take their protection here. Sounds good, Frozen. Yeah, I'll see where we end up at after we play tomorrow, and perhaps we can do a guide after that. I appreciate your generosity. And that's even more perfect because I think after we play that deck again, I'm gonna put it up on the website, and then I can put it up there with the board guide. Just gonna go ahead and murder this now while they're tapped out. Wonderful to see them just cantrip this to try and hit their land drop. I like that. So if we hit a land drop that's untapped, we'll play both of these. If we miss, we'll play Murderous Rider out. Again, casting this while they're tapped out, so that way I can't get Spell Pierced or something like that after they untap. Pretty important that I just keep the board clear. I think this is definitely a kill all the things matchup, and that's the thing, so it needs to die. Treasure Flare. Keep in mind the Treasure Flare is in the meme section. So while you could certainly win some games with it, it's definitely not the most competitive thing on the site. Okay, just making sure. All the decks have the power levels on their pages. You can easily sort and filter and stuff. So if they have like a dive down here, oh, they're just using Mystic Subdual to keep their thing alive. Deal. I would like to end your Legion, please. Okay, so the fact that they have this in hand means I'm going to leave Footlight Fiend back, so that way if they flash this in, I can block with Footlight Fiend. Yeah, doing lots of variety on Magic Arena definitely gets expensive quickly, Fluffy Wolf. It's like 200 packs or so per set. And if you're like just jumping in now, there's a big backlog to acquire. Well, I mean, at the very least, our deck seems like a playable red-black aggro deck. We've gotten to kill at least one person with Tinybones. So I don't think it's a huge loss necessarily about the theme that we're going for. This curve's great. 1-drop, Kroxa, Ashiok on 3, Escape Kroxa on 4. And sweet, looks like Field of the Dead, so hopefully we'll get to strand some copies of Hour of Promise in their hand with Ashiok. I mean, to be fair, regardless of when you joined Magic Arena, building your first tiered deck from nothing has always cost somewhere between $100 and $200, depending on what deck you're looking to build and what rarities it contains. So, like, that only the price of being a completionist goes up as more sets are added. $200 is way more than 5 Runeterra decks. Runeterra decks are like 20 bucks a pop. Those of you who are watching on YouTube in the future, my OBS is disconnected from the Twitch stream. Alright. Guess I'm gonna have to go back and do some video editing here. I don't know what happened with that. I'm like 90% sure. I'm like 90% sure that was a Twitch issue because nothing else disconnected. They probably had a hiccup on their ingest server. Because my arena stayed connected, my chat stayed connected. So. And OBS is a buggy piece of garbage that doesn't like when things disconnect, so I'm gonna have to, I had to restart OBS to get reconnected, so I'm gonna have to do video editing now, which is real tedious. Let's do this so that way they can't draw Hydroid Crisis. If they draw a sweeper, I can just escape Kroxa. Would I rather have Legion's End or Duress? I feel like I'd rather have Duress. I'm sure that could go either way. I've got Legion's End of the board, like, largely for the Auras matchup. My channel says 0 viewers right now, but I assume some of you can see me, right? I am not currently talking to the void. Well, I am the void, but you're talking to me. Fair. Fair. Hey, we're back. Look at that. We only lost 40% of our viewers because OBS or Twitch or whatever died. Alright, Tibalt's Rager, I choose you. Listen, chat, if Tibalt's Rager can beat Field of the Dead, you too can beat Field of the Dead. I believe in you. He's so angry, chat. Look at the way they massacred my boy. Why would you do this to him? On today of all days. Hey, look, chat, that's a land, but guess what? Escape my Kroxa, discard your land. Really should have put that into play, friendo. Yeah, Twitch must be having issues. See, chat, Tibalt's Rager 1, Field of the Dead 0. Fear the Rager. I mean, keeping up with Runeterra spoilers, I have. I was on a Runeterra podcast last night where we talked a little bit about myself and then a whole lot about a bunch of Runeterra spoilers. Look at that, chat. Swamp on top. Nailed it. Jank? Don't you call my deck jank. This deck's a well-oiled machine, chat. You think Tibalt's Rager goes into jank? Shame on you. Look at him. Look at him reading the Chaos Rider, chat. They thought about taking it for a minute there. They thought about it. They took our steepler. Dang it, Chaos Rider. I wanted that Rankle. Oh no! Oh no! Chat! They're coming for our memes, chat! They're coming for our memes! Hide your memes, chat! If we can dodge Languish, we can dodge a ball, chat. If we can dodge Languish, we can dodge a ball. Got all this rage against the machine, chat. Despite all the rage, he is still just a devil in a cage. Alright, so now they can't languish us anymore because they'll die. Which is just lovely. Only had to fade languish for one turn there. Fantabulous. Alright, so like, I know Chaos Rider was, like, good there just now, but I'm pretty sure I need to board it out because it's definitely a Hoagland in this matchup. It is a huge liability. Is this a Thoughtseize out matchup? It's probably a Thoughtseize out matchup, right? Because their hand's going to get empty pretty quick. Mr. One, thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Gonna bring in extra removal for their Tinybones, because they're almost certainly a Tinybones deck. Alright, Chad, I'm gonna let you in a dirty little secret. Don't mulligan against the Waste Not deck. Just keep your hand with lands and spells. This Castle Locthwain probably busted. Probably busted, this Castle Locthwain. And your entire legion. Oh, yeah. You love to see it, chat. You love to see it.
Address me as Queen of the Dead, please. We're doing things my way.
I gave them mana to play their Waste Not here, which is awesome. awkward. I think I just have to do this and hit her. Just like hope they brick for a turn.
Keep your grimy hands off.
Keep your grimy hands off me. This is a good example of why Waste Not's not a playable Magic card.
I have no interest in fighting.
Have some mana. Enjoy. We're gonna kill them very quickly here. A lot of the Tinybones decks I had seen built when I was looking for a build for this build around were mostly Waste Not decks like that opponents, and it's just Waste Not's it's just not a playable card. It's just not worth its weight. And Tinybones, on the other hand, actually seems super reasonable as far as card quality goes, right? Like it draws us cards, and the fact that it kills the opponent when it can't draw you cards is huge. Yeah, like, the fact that Tinybones is like a discard payoff that does something when it can't be a discard payoff is a big deal. Even with wheel effects, Waste Not is not really a good card. Speaking as someone who's been paid to play that card in Modern before. Probably just Hour of Promise here. I think we just leave them the rest and hope they don't find a field. Listen, chat. Tibalt's Rager here is 1-0 against Field of the Dead so far today. Our opponent's probably very scared right now looking at this hand. What would it take to make it playable? It would need something like Tinybones, in that it's a playable card even when they're not discarding. That's what it needs. Like Tinybones is a good example of a playable discard payoff. It needs to have an effect when it can't be a discard payoff. Sure, yeah, something like that. If Waste Not also had a rack effect, that would be a good example. Okay, so they're going up to 6 lands this turn. Actually, they're gonna start generating zombies this turn, right? Yep. Probably dead here if we don't draw a Rankle, and I can't even cast Rankle, right? So probably just dead. What's a rack effect? Do exclamation point card the rack. Maybe we can burn them out from here. Maybe. Depends a lot on what their last few cards are. Yep. If I had a black source, we could have, like, Rankle to draw to, but they've got Arc of Orzhov going now, too. Put in a couple Duresses, take out the Bonecrusher Giants that aren't stellar. The art for the rack is not modern art design. You're not wrong. A lot of old Magic art is like kind of cringy in a way. This hand's actually kind of sick, huh? We get to go, like, this is kind of like a sweet curve. We get to go Footlight into Tinybones into Chaos Rider. Trigger Tinybones. They have a Doomblade. It's unfortunate. This is the reading Zurzoth pause here, for those that aren't familiar. You wouldn't think something so bony would have such nice curves. See if we can dodge Languish, we can dodge a ball here. The good news is, even if they Languish us, that gives us almost enough things to escape Kroxa. If we could, like, have some more spells. Super unfortunate. I think we needed one more turn with the Rager to, like, get one more card in the bin so that way Kroxa could work. Get one more draw with Tinybones. And then, you know, this is where the magic happens, so. Maybe they'll continue to not have a green source for us. I just don't think there's anything we could do about this. It's like it never drew a spell, an opponent just had a perfect curve. Removal into Sweeper into Hour of Promise. Suppose if we draw... Oh, they have Bojuka Bog, right? Yeah, just did. Let's see. Suppose if we draw something to escape this, we could maybe be in it, but Bojuka Bog, that doesn't happen. And, like, again, even if your deck has an okay matchup against something, and I think we have the tools to have an okay matchup in this matchup, sometimes your opponent's just going to curve out. There's nothing you can do. There's a lot of those games in Magic. It just comes with the territory. You can't play Magic if you don't want to play a lot of non-games like that. Wellspring usually means red aggro, which probably means this hand shouldn't be a keep. Maybe they'll be playing something rampy instead, but usually this has been I almost said champion companion for aggressive decks. Yep. I feel like people who are too young to get dodgeball references aren't the ones watching the stream. That's not true. There are some Zoomers that watch my stream. It's mostly millennials, but we've got some Zoomers, thank you. Look at that. There's Zoomers in chat that know the dodgeball reference too. Having to shock for that felt bad. Only 3 cards in the bin so far. I think I'm playing this and then playing a defensive Rager. We're one card short of escaping Uro. If they kill Kroxa, if they kill Rankle, we can escape Kroxa. So anyways, they started blasting. So I don't get to hit them with this, but at least next turn I get to escape Kroxa. We'll see if that's going to be fast enough here. Thermal Alchemist is going to town on us. They got like a shock here as well. Yep. Yeah, subconsciously wishing this was an Uro. So we could gain some life. They only have one card in hand, which is going away here, so I assume this is about to deal 3, 4, 5 to us, put us to 2. Only 2, okay. God bless. Lot of draws that kill us here. We're dead, Jim. It's out. Some on a red goes, right? This probably isn't a Thoughtseize matchup, actually, right? I'll leave like one Ashiok in to enable my Kroxa. Sounds fine. I like it. I think this is a mulligan. Not only does it only have 2 lands, but they both hurt me. So it has my colors, but it's painful. This is much better. Attack with this. If they block, we trade. It's at least a castable 3-drop, I suppose. Okay, that's like the best case scenario for leaving Ashiok in, right? Ashiok draws us to Kroxa. Obviously, the rest of Ashiok's text is not useful here. Lighten us up, chat. Do you have a third land? You do, that's terrifying. So we're at a virtual 10. We're at a virtual 6, so probably just dead. I would assume the opponent's deck devours the Field of the Dead decks as well. Definitely seems sufficiently linear and efficient. Our lack of good clean removal for Thermal Alchemist, definitely feeling that here. No reason to attack here. Let's try one more. Get my money's worth out of the 4 mythic wild cards I spent on Tinybones. Rematch here in the red matchup. Tinybones itself has been pretty mediocre. I feel like what we're doing here is basically just a worse version of the red-black aggro deck on my site. It's got a lot of similarities to it. And like trying to fit Tinybones in doesn't really add a ton of value to it. Yeah, I almost didn't take this submission because I basically didn't make any money on this submission because the $25 I got to play it cost more. I actually lost money on this submission, right? Yeah, because it cost me way more than $25 to craft 4 Tinybones. I probably should have turned it down. I think I'm gonna do this and dig for a Kroxa because that's my best bet to win this matchup. You get 2 mythic wild cards per 30 booster packs. So building this deck cost me $60. That's true. Tinybones is an investment. Two more deck submissions from now, Tinybones will have paid for himself. No, 2 mythic wild cards is $30, so 4 Tinybones is $60. Makes me long for $3 champions in Runeterra. Who remembers when historic cards are gonna cost double wild cards to craft? Yup. The only reason Magic Arena is expensive is because they know they can make it expensive, chat. Y'all aren't going anywhere. Alright, we're on the scoreboard at least. Yeah, the way that game played out, it makes me think I probably don't want to cut my Ashioks in this matchup. I probably want to cut something else. Because I feel like Kroxa's probably our best tool for winning here. I think I'm gonna cut one of each of these and leave my 3 Ashioks in to like be able to turbo to Kroxa. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, people saying in chat that they're, like, focusing on Runeterra, that's the way you eventually push Wizards to be more consumer-friendly. I hope at some point, Runeterra gets popular enough and chews into Arena's market share that, like, Wizards of the Coast realizes they need to be more consumer-friendly. I feel like it's unlikely that happens, because Magic has just first movers advantage. They're the oldest card game and has 26 years of history. But, you know, who knows? Maybe someday. I would love it if Magic Arena was more consumer friendly. Because it's not. Magic's great, and I like Magic as a game, and I'm glad that they got the formats back to a place that I enjoy. But, like, the predatoriness of the core system is definitely still there and very real. Treaties. Yeah, Runeterra could eventually push into Hearthstone too. It would be great if them being the consumer-friendly card game pushes the other card games to be better. I think that would be really good for the genre as a whole. The only reason these card games use the digital gambling cash grab that we get from paper is because they realized that they could. When Hearthstone came to market, they were like, oh, we can be predatory just like paper packs are predatory. If they cut the price, there will be a major outcry that Wizards is devaluing the digital cards we've already bought. Man, that's some big boomer energy, and you're right, there definitely would be. There 1000% would be the very typical, I've suffered, so other people should have to suffer mentality. That mentality is the American dream. Yeah, yup. Like I feel like I'm crazy sometimes when I talk to some of those people. It's like they're just like so incapable of empathy, right? Like it's like I have no student loans. I have good private health insurance. I want everybody else to be able to say those things as well, because the things I had to do to make those things true aren't great, and I don't want other people to have to go through those things, right? Like, I don't think other people should have to suffer because I suffered. I think we just sack here. Might steal a game without Kroxa, huh? God Pharaoh's Gift actually ended up in a spot I was pretty happy with. We played it for almost 2 hours and iterated on it a lot in that time. Forcing them to draw with Frenzy is free, kind of. So, it cost me a point of life, right? So, like, is it worth, like, a point of life to draw a card, is a question. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, God Pharaoh's Gift will definitely be tagged as the Magic deck of the day, not close. Yikes. Really glad I drew a card now. Throw out a guess. Woof. One Rankle, please. Rankle's lethal. Man, that's unfortunate. You have a Wizard's Lightning on top of their deck to blow me out here? Nope. So do I Bonecrusher or do I Kroxa? think I'm supposed to Kroxa, because I want a 6/6 next turn guaranteed. They're not going to remove it though, chat. They have their own Bonecrusher Giants right here. They're just going to block it. Yeah, I bet we probably lose this Frenzy here now. We're just Sideboard. Yeah, very close. Perhaps I should have drawn a little bit more aggressively with Rankle. I think it's probably the case there. Should have drawn. I skipped a draw, and I should have done more. Yeah, I agree, Come Eat Pizza. Like, I know it's, like, kind of frustrating to lose to Frenzy like that, but the fact that that's the red deck and it's not Embercleave red, I big agree. Just to make my position clear, I definitely prefer Embercleave red, or I definitely prefer Frenzy red to Embercleave red, and it's not close. Oh, you'd rather get cleaved? Nah, big disagree. There's way less counterplay and 0% chance of breaking with cleave. Would much rather have happened what just happened. Okay, our hand's a little clunky, so they'll get to stomp me and then light up the stage here probably. Dragichu Lava Runner, it's a good draw. We'll go Mountain, light up the stage. Okay, I think with this flipped up, I just kill this here. And they'll have to spend most of their turn going Mountain this. How do we feel about trading Rankle for Soul Scarmage here? I think I like it. I'm definitely trading Blood Crypt for a card out of their hand. I think we just use Rankle as a 2-for-2 here. I'm undefeated. The Treasure Flare deck is, like, genuinely fine. We won a lot of games with it last time we played it. And this feels like a good example of why this archetype's just, like, much worse than the black-red aggro deck up on my site. You just got, like, individually lower-powered cards here. So when we get to a board state situation like this where we're both top-decking, like, my average draw is much worse than their average draw. So I've got all these 2-mana 1/2s in my deck. It's where the magic happens. Calling a ramp on this one. So overall, my impression on Tinybones still remains about the same. It's just an individual, like, Magic, the way Magic is today, these individually weak, synergy-based cards they're just not good. And this card requires us to play other individually weak cards aside from things like Thoughtseize and Kroxa to kind of get any value out of it. And that just means, like, the sum of our parts is just not good enough. And the things that were good about this deck were very similar to the things that were good about the red-black aggro deck that's up on my site. And the red-black aggro deck has just a more competitive core overall. So definitely greatly prefer this shell to what we just played. All right, at any rate, we are going to shift gears and wrap on up with some Runeterra today. Can you give me an example of a card that you think is an individually weak card in the Pyromancer deck, Waffle? Because I think, for reference, the Pyromancer deck is good because while it has synergistic cards in it, the average card quality in it is actually quite high. Runeterra said it failed to connect. It's reloading. See if this works. Yep. Oh, there's a patch. I must have hicked up because of the patch. All right. We're going to play some Harrowing Ash today. Sweet. Once we get in and get patched. You'd love this game, Waffle. It feels like they took all the good parts of Hex and got rid of the bad parts. It's being produced by a company that's not a small indie company, so they've got real dollars behind them, so the software itself is really good. This is card for card the Harrowing Ash deck we played before. Yeah, just play the tutorials, the best piece of advice I can give. The in-game tutorial's very, very good. Has a bunch of extra optional levels in it that are fantastic.